everyone, and welcome to the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, as it plays host to the 8th race of Season 4 of the UpperEdge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series. At the conclusion of this evening's event, we'll know the drivers that mathematically have a shot of winning the championship here in Season 4, and it takes place in today's 57-lapper. Tonight, it's the Gator Showdown, powered by Swamp Motorsports, as these drivers will be trying to take a last opportunity to get a checkered flag, and for about 8, 9, 10 of them, an opportunity to either put themselves firmly in the picture or at least on the outlying long shot area of being able to hoist the championship trophy by time next week's race at iRacing Superspeedway comes to a close. Good evening, everybody. I'm Seth Cole, and tonight, these drivers preparing for what should be a wild one at Daytona, if our first Daytona race at the first half of the season is anything to go by. Opportunity for potentially a driver to sweep the Daytona races. Bronson Stafford, the back-to-back defending champion of the series, picked up his victory at Daytona. That was back in early June. And he'll have a chance to maybe double down. That would be huge for him, as he's 63 points out of the points lead coming into tonight's event. Ryan Potter, the points leader, 48 points over Dylan Poteet. Then you got triple digits further behind with Connor Holden in 4th, 101 points out. Shane Tyrion, our winner from last week at Atlanta Superspeedway, jumped up 9 spots and is only 117 points back. Tom Bourne, the runner-up finisher last week, up to 6th now. He is 120 points out. Then Ty Smith, Chad Winstead, Sean Billman, DJ Stagner. That's the top 10 in points. Only 150 points separate the top 10. And I know what you're thinking. Only 150 points. But with the point system here in this series, it is possible for a driver even that far back with a good run here tonight to be able to still have a mathematical shot at the championship next week at iRacing Superspeedway. These drivers just finished up their group qualifying. Carl Faust is going to line up on the pole position, the first of his career and first of the season. He's back behind the wheel of the number 81 again this week, filling in for Connor Holden. We saw him in the number 81 last week as well. Michael Norman is going to line up on the outside of the front row. That is going to make it an all-Ford Mustang front row, with Bronson Stafford's Toyota and Ty Smith's Chevrolet making up row number 2. Seth Knoll, who finished 3rd last week at Atlanta Superspeedway, is going to complete the top 5. Mike Tellier will roll up on the outside of row number 3. And Shane Tyrion was the last driver to take time. Last week's winner will roll off from the 7th position. So we'll give you the rest of the lineup. Everybody hoping that the random qualifying put them further at the back, trying to get the valuable bonus points for picking up the most places from start to finish. 8th place will be Blake Trawick. Row 5 will be DJ Stagner and Cody Lamas. That's the completion of the top 10. Tom Bourne will roll off in 11th. John Poole III in 12th. Dylan Poteet will be 13th, Roberto Ramirez in 14th, and Chad Winstead will complete the top 15. Points leader Ryan Potter will be rolling off the grid in 16th place. Robert Kenny in 17th, 18th Matthew Rodriguez, 19th Sean Billman. Top 20 will be completed by Jason Shuey, and Matt Muir will roll up in the 21st position, completing the 21-car starting lineup for this evening's event. So it's going to be 57 laps in total here tonight. Green-white checker overtime available if needed. However, we've run, I believe, only, if I look back, I think we've only run 2 races this season in which we've had to go over the scheduled distance. Most of these other races have actually been run within the scheduled distance. One of the tracks, though, where we did have to use an overtime was here at Daytona. Remember Bronson Stafford getting that big run on the outside down the back straightaway on that green-white checkered finish and picking up that victory. A couple of things, if you are new to the series, that you'll have to bear in mind is the double yellow line there. Usually in most series considered out of bounds. It is not out of bounds here tonight. Free reign to go down to the apron wherever you want. And a couple of these drivers might try and utilize it on the final lap here out of turn 4 and into the tri-oval, which is where Carl Faust leads the field. And we are underway here tonight at Daytona. Neither lane getting an edge. Norman with a push from Ty Smith. Carl Faust with a push from Bronson Stafford. Looks like that outside line might be getting better momentum down the back straightaway. Norman's clear. Ty Smith is clear. They now jump down to the inside line. Michael Norman with the new Dr. Pepper colors on his number 22 here this evening. Looks like he's going to hold them off to be able to lead the first lap of this race. Ty Smith, who pushed him to the front, crossing in second, then side by side for third with Faust on the bottom and Mike Tellier up on the top side. Tellier going to get alongside Ty Smith, that middle line cooking again. With Tellier, Blake Trawick, Shane Tyrion, and Tom Bourne. Tellier about half a car length, now full car length down the back straightaway. Let's see if he jumps down to the inside line. We've seen that a lot this season where drivers get that advantage on the top and immediately drop down to block the inside line. Tellier stayed up to the high side with Blake Trawick. It cost him a little time there through 3 and 4, but look at the run they're able to get on the front stretch to the start-finish line. Tellier going to get that lap led. Last couple of weeks, we've seen Mike Tellier be able to fight his way up to the front, get a lap led, and then he immediately drops out and falls to the back. Let's see if that's going to be the case here for the True North Toyota Supra. Michael Norman's actually going to do that. He's going to step out of line and drop back outside of the top 10. Trawick moved down to the inside line. Now he's looking for the top position. There's Shane Tyrion. Nice push there to Mike Tellier going into 3. Tellier clear, drops down to the bottom in front of Trawick's 56. And now Trawick moves from the bottom up to the top to pick up Shane Tyrion. Tyrion with Tom Bourne right behind him. Those two were nose to tail for final 15 laps or so last week at Atlanta Superspeedway. Tyrion went on to win the race. Tom Bourne right behind him in second. And they have found each other again here 1 week later at Daytona. Both of these drivers with the runs they had last week up in the conversation, the championship conversation that is. And another good run for both of them tonight could put them right up in the forefront as maybe some of the favorites to get that championship trophy next week at iRacing Superspeedway. Trawick going to edge ahead here through 3 and 4. Let's see if that inside line can keep the momentum off the corner. I'm expecting that middle line to get a run again here off of 4 into the start-finish line. Tyrion pulled really close to that right rear quarter panel, tried to drag the 56 back, but not able to do it quickly enough. Trawick will get that lap led. All 21 cars are up in this lead pack, though a few of them have kind of drifted back towards the tail end. Cody Lamas is back there, John Poole III, Dylan Poteet, DJ Stagner amongst them. Poteet and Stagner, former winners from this season. Poteet a 2-time winner. Both drivers getting their first career wins in the series this season. Same can be said for Zach Johnson, who won the season opener, and Andrew Siegel, who won the first Dega duel. Stagner won the second. Good side-by-side racing still up here at the front, though the outside line seems to be losing just a tad bit more momentum And now they might lose more as Shane Tyrion's actually going to move up to the third lane. Tom Bourne will move on by him, along with Bronson Stafford. Roberto Ramirez there as well in the 42, and then Tyrion's going to slot back to fourth on that outside line. Maybe he felt he didn't have a car strong enough to lead that outside line. Now we'll see what Tom Bourne's able to do in the number 16 Ghost Toyota Supra. And it looks like they are making some strides. Got him alongside of Blake Trawick. Almost was a splitter ahead going into turn 1. Pulling down, getting the side draft off the 56. Ooh, 47 of Mike Teller got loose off of 2. He's down below the apron, and he's starting to fall back, and that's going to break up that inside line. There you see the advantage to the outside line. Tom Bourne to the point. Bronson Stafford into second place. Now, I should mention that if we're looking at trends from this season, if we're looking back at the last Daytona race, Bronson Stafford was the winner, but guess how many laps he led? Just one, the final lap. The two drivers that led the most laps in that race, Matt Dyer and Matthew Rodriguez, both finished outside the top 10 in 15th and 16th, respectively. Whoa, was there contact right there? Maybe a little errant bump from Bronson Stafford to Tom Bourne. The 16 looked loose, but I don't know if that was just a case of him getting loose on his own, maybe a little air taken off the spoiler, or if there indeed was a little bit of contact between him and the 61. Stafford moved up to the outside line, got around Tom Bourne, then jumps down to the bottom. That opens the door up the top side for Blake Trawick to battle back to the front, and I think he is clear through the tri-oval. Got a big push from the JBL Toyota of Roberto Ramirez. This is reminding me a lot of what we saw last week at Atlanta Superspeedway. These drivers have really mastered the art of side drafting, which keeps all the respective rows side by side with each other. We saw a lot of side-by-side racing, even up battling for the lead last week at Atlanta Superspeedway, and we're seeing it again here. This time it's Stafford and Trawick. Then Tom Bourne and Roberto Ramirez for what would be third. Then Ty Smith in the Wendy's Chevrolet on his number 18. Alongside Shane Tyrion, that's the battle for fifth. Field's broken up a little bit more than it was at the initial start. Got about 11 cars up in the lead pack, back to the bright pink number 99 of Ryan Potter. He has now just picked up Matt Muir in the 72. Then it's about another 2-3 tenths back to Mike Tellier, who's leading the second group. That's comprised of Dylan Poteet, Michael Norman, John Poole the third. Robert Kenny has now dropped back into that second group, along with Cody Lamas, DJ Stagner, and Jason Shuey. Stafford clear for the lead now. Outside line, breaking up a little bit, losing some momentum through 3 and 4, and here into the front stretch tri-oval. Second place, I thought for a moment could be clear, that being Tom Bourne, though I think Tom's pretty committed to the 61 right now. Running on that inside line, right against that double yellow line. One thing that kind of surprises me, although, well, I shouldn't say surprises me, because now when I think about it in retrospect, we see a lot of drivers in closing stages of races this season. They go down below that out of bounds, and I did air quotes there because it is not out of bounds in this series. They don't do it early on or middle of the race. Now, while there can be an advantage to doing it earlier on in the race, you kind of catch a driver flat-footed. They don't expect that you're going to make that move that early on. The downside is there is a penalty system, and so if you end up causing an early incident, then you've got that hanging over your head for the rest of the race. So that could be a reason why we don't see drivers early on making those moves down below the yellow line. You know, if anything, if they go down there in the early going, it's usually an indication of I'm dropping to the back, giving up spots rather than trying to fight to advance my position. Speaking of advancing position, a lot of drivers have done so since the drop of the green flag. 9 spots gained by Tom Bourne. 9 spots gained by Roberto Ramirez. 10 by Matthew Rodriguez. 7 now make it 8 by Ryan Potter and 8 by Sean Billman. So a lot of drivers that started back outside of the top 10 have really worked their way up now into the top 10 and just outside of the top 10 for Sean Billman in the 06, who last time by was scored in the 11th position. What about pit stops? Do we start considering those? Because these drivers here have gone 12 and a half laps under the green flag. Things, at least for the moment, trending towards a long green flag run. Will we have to see these drivers diving onto pit lane at some point? The last time we were here at Daytona, we ended up having 5 cautions for 15 laps, so green flag pit stops did not play a factor into the outcome of the race. And obviously, we had that green-white checkered overtime as well. Ryan Potter showed the nose up 3 wide. Third car in that outside line. He had Chad Winstead right behind him, but didn't look like the 99 had the momentum, nor did he have the help. Now he's trying it again. Daytona's a little bit more difficult of a racetrack to be able to make it 3 wide. Much like Daytona, it's pretty narrow. It can hold them 3 wide, but it's not nearly as spacious as Talladega or iRacing Superspeedway would be. And especially coming off of 4 and going through the tri-oval, it narrows up even more. Whoa! Blake Trawick. Big wiggle right there out of the 56, leading that outside line. Again, kind of similar to what we saw before with Tom Bourne and Bronson Stafford. Hard to tell if there's maybe an errant bump, if there's maybe a little gap whack going on there, or if it's just a case of that air moving around, coming off the spoiler and getting the cars loose off corner exit. Ty Smith now will jump up to the outside line and try and lead that train. Trying to make some kind of a challenge on the 16 and the 61, who've got a stranglehold on the inside line. There's the pole sitter Carl Faust moving back up to the front into the 3rd spot. Remember, Carl, even though he started on the pole, he hasn't led a lap today. Michael Norman got pushed around him to the race lead back on lap 1, so Carl Faust still looking for the bonus points of getting a lap led after he rolled off the grid from P1. Keep an eye on the 72 of Matt Muir. Was talking with some of the drivers after the conclusion of last week's race at Atlanta. And Matt Muir, who's kind of been just kind of riding, learning during the first half of this season, said last week, I was ready to go. I felt good. I wanted to mix it up there at the front of the field. Got caught up in an incident that took him out of the picture. Well, he's hanging around there, just outside of the top 10. New colors on his Toyota Supra, Garmin. We'll see if we see that Garmin mobile up here towards the front. Near the end of this thing is Ty Smith, got the bonus point for the lap led. Stafford Tom Bourne will take him to the outside. And a lot of momentum there on that outside line. Really, really close draft between those two. That will get Stafford back to the lead, Tom Bourne back to second. And as soon as they get clear, they jump back down to the inside line. Here comes Trawick. Now he's got a new dancing partner. That's the points leader, Ryan Potter. So if you're Ryan Potter, former winner from last season, if I recall correctly, your points leader coming into this race, what is your goal? Are you out there in the wanting to win this race mentality, or are you out there trying to just manage the points gap between you and the rest of your competition? I believe that in order for Ryan Potter to lock up the championship here tonight, he would have to have, I believe it is 75 points between himself and second in the standings to mathematically lock anybody else out of having a shot of winning this championship. He had 2 drivers that were within that 75-point range coming into tonight, Dylan Poten and Bronson Stafford. And right now, Bronson is in the, well, 3rd, now 4th, now 3rd, now 4th, right alongside of Chad Winstead. He's inside of the top 5, is the defending champion. What about Dylan Pote? Where is he at? dead last in the 21st position. Drafting back here with Seth Knoll, trying to stay out of trouble. He's got a drafting partner, so more than likely is not going to lose the draft. Complete polar opposite strategies by the drivers inside the top 3 in points. Stafford and Potter battling up here at the front. Dylan Poteet preserving at the back of the pack. So we're about to reach the 20 laps down mark, and there's a lot of movement right there from the first 2 rows through 3 and 4. Bronson Stafford was all sorts of loose. I wonder if maybe as the fuel is starting to evaporate and the fuel tanks are starting to empty a bit, if maybe that's making the back ends just a little bit light on corner exit. It's maybe a possibility. I don't know if they might be carrying too much speed for that to be a factor. Might just be air more than anything. Well, he had that great runner-up finish last week at Atlanta Superspeedway. Let's go inside the driver's office with Tom Bourne and take a lap around Daytona, courtesy of the number 16. Watch the wheel motion specifically here. With Tom Bourne, did a little researching and found something very interesting. Saw Seth Knoll and Dylan Poteet way back there. That might have been by design twofold, not only to stay out of trouble, but they both got heck of draft laps about 2-3 laps ago. Dylan Poteet 46.322, Seth Knoll 46.279. That is the fastest lap set so far today. And remember, the driver that sets the fastest lap of the race gets extra bonus points. So that could have been another reason why those two dropped back as far as they did. Got the tremendous tow at the very tail end of the pack. And right now, I've got the 2 fastest laps of this race. A few other drivers have hit the sub-46s, including Jason Shuey, Cody Lamas, who have been running at the back most of this race. John Poole III, Michael Norman, Matthew Rodriguez, and DJ Stagner have also hit 46s. Also Ryan Potter in the 99. He's the highest running of those drivers. Look at Matthew Rodriguez back there. Bottom, top, bottom, top. You know what that means? That means the driver is bored. Trying to give draft to either lane. Swerving side to side. Matthew Rodriguez, he wants to go. He wants to go to the front. There he is again, going to the top. Snaking it down the front straightaway. Matt Muir looks like he's doing the same thing back there. Those two in the 12th and 13th positions as things are currently scored. Ooh, Ryan Potter got loose there off of turn 2. Well, since we ran the caution flag 5 times last time here at Daytona and have no idea what the fuel window is for these guys, we don't know exactly when they're going to be making some pit stops as we're 3 wide for the lead. Stafford's in the middle, Bourne on the bottom, Blake Trawick high, wide, and handsome off turn 4. Potter, that's what you got to worry about if you're 3 wide. He ran out of real estate. Brushed the wall. That checked up both he and Chad Winstead. And that hurts Blake Trawick, who I think had about half the car length advantage for the lead lead off of turn 4. Now we got another one up into the wall. That was either the 99 again, or it might have been the 6 of Winstead. I think it actually was the 6 of Winstead who was starting to drop back. The Castrol Toyota Supra, and I think he's got a little bit of damage now as well. Did we not just say Seth Knoll was running at the back with Dylan Poteet just a few laps ago? And all of a sudden, he's up here inside of the top 3. Look at that. That one car is fast. We saw it last week with his podium finish at Atlanta, and he's following it up again here today at Daytona. So with not knowing what the fuel window is, I almost wonder if maybe these drivers would split this race in half. If they were to do so, we'd see them on pit road within the next 3 laps. Might stretch it to lap 30. Some drivers, though, might try and stretch it as far as it can possibly go. Come to pit road and take on less fuel, potentially. Don't know if that's going to be the strategy call or not. But having never made green flag pit stops this season at Daytona, how are these drivers going to do? You do not want to get caught speeding. We've had pit road play its part a couple of times into the outcome of races. Go back to the season opener at Talladega. Number of drivers, about 6 I believe if I recall correctly, came to pit road and got hit with speeding penalties. And then, when we went back to Talladega for the duels in the first duel, number of the Sky and Hula Monkey Motorsports cars came down pit road feeling that nobody could make it the 30 laps in that heat race, and as a consequence, none of them, I believe only one of them finished inside of the top 10. The rest of them did not get the finishes nor the points that they were looking for. So would Daytona's pit road play havoc with some of these drivers? Well, Bronson Stafford's been here before. Back-to-back seasons, he's won the championship. He's third in points coming in tonight, but he knows what he has to do to get into that championship battle. Maybe even with where he's running at the moment, could potentially be the points leader in live points. Ryan Potter's back in 7th right now, and Dylan Poteet is currently in 20th. Very impressive. All 21 cars still up here running in this lead pack. All on the lead lap is Seth Knoll. Big wiggle right there. I don't know what was going on with him, but that wiggle started all the way in the entry to turn 3 and didn't end until he got about midway through turn 4 in that 3rd position. Car was drifting up a couple of half grooves as well. I don't know if he was shaking the car, trying to get some fuel into it. I don't know what was going on there. Ty Smith had to roll up just a little bit to avoid running him over. John Poole III, big push there. Nice tandem on the top side with Blake Trawick. Now Seth Knoll's going to jump up there also, give a little bit of help, and then jump back down to the bottom. Trawick is going to get the lead going into turn 3. Can he maintain it? Doesn't look like it. Stafford battles back on the bottom, and now John Poole III is going to abandon ship. He'll move down to the inside and let Blake Trawick in, so they'll slot into 3rd and 4th behind Stafford and Bourne. Again, remember folks, next week, July 7th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're right back here at the UpperEdge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series Championship Night at iRacing Superspeedway. Should be a good one. See who's going to be the 3rd, maybe, champion of the series. I say maybe because Bronson Stafford could be still only the 2nd. And here we go, pit road, going to be a busy place. Oh, Ryan Potter got the pit wall, and he gets the 64 of Stagner. He was very, very low, very far left coming in, and Stagner's paying the price. Saw a lot of tires locking up there as well. Hopefully everybody got it woed up to pit road speed. If anybody did not, we'll document it as Trawick inherits the lead with Stafford and Bourne hitting pit road. We'll see if these drivers are in this time. It's right around the lap 30 mark, more than halfway through, so they can make it the rest of the way from here on out. And here comes the rest. Oh, no! Michael Norman gets a bump from behind by Cody Lamas, and he saves it. A lot of fishtailing there. Oh, well, he's off into the grass. He's going to miss the commitment cone. He went on the right side of the commitment line. I think that's probably going to garner a penalty. Would not be surprised, as Carl Faust and Ty Smith were the two fastest off of pit road of group number 1. They might inherit the race lead. Nobody from that first group, it looks like, got hit with a speeding penalty. We'll wait and see about group number 2. Looks like Michael Norman's got a longer pit stall. I think he probably is having to serve a penalty for unsafe pit entry, having gone around the right side of the cone. Got a bump there from Cody Lamas as they were both entering onto the pit lane access. Look how far back Carl Faust and Ty Smith are. They're going to cycle into like 7th and 8th. Seth Noel is going to be the race leader. Car number 1 will be in position number 1. John Poole III, Blake Trawick, and Dylan Poteet now going to be the top 4. Good pit stop for the 31. Carl Faust and Ty Smith, just with being up to speed, got around a couple of drivers. Bronson Stafford and Mike Tellier moved them up to 5th and 6th. Sean Billman just moved up to 7th. Stafford back to 8th. And Roberto Ramirez and Mike Tellier, the top 10 at this current point in time. There's Michael Norman just now leaving pit road. Norman's going to fall a lap down as a result of the penalty. Looks like it was a 40-second penalty for driver 22. Tough break there. He'll be the only driver 1 lap down currently, so if he were lucky enough to get a caution, he could get back on the lead lap. The bad news is it looks like Matt Muir had a somewhat slow pit stop. Not as much in his pit stall, but from entry or exit. And he is only about 11 seconds ahead of the race leaders, which with this group of 4, they could probably reel him in pretty quickly, and that would then put him a lap down and take Michael Norman out of the lucky dog position. How about this tonight, though? 34 laps about to be completed. It'll be 23 to go, and we have not seen a single caution flag. The races have really cleaned up in the last couple of weeks. You go back to Talladega, our second visit to Talladega. We didn't have a single caution fly in the first Dega Duel race. We did have 3 yellows in the second Dega Duel race, but when you take and put both of those races together, the total of 60 laps, 3 cautions, that's still pretty impressive. And then you go back to last week at Atlanta Superspeedway. Yeah, we had 5 cautions, but consider where we were at. We were at Atlanta. 5 cautions at Atlanta Superspeedway where they ran 78 laps. That's good. That is good percentage of green flag laps that were turned at a track as difficult as it was back when they visited the first time. I'm pretty sure that we were more cautions than that. Yeah, we had 6 cautions in the first Atlanta race. Well, as we expected, now we're starting to have groups of single file catching other groups of single file. What was a quartet at the front of the field has now become a choir. Got 13 drivers up in this lead pack. Seth Noel back to Shane Tyrion, last week's winner. Long ways back to the second group, currently led by Robert Kenny. them. 5 drivers on the lead lap. The lap machine of Michael Norman, Kenny Winstead, Potter, Lamas, and Shuey. And Michael Norman, whoa. That car was all sorts of out of shape there off of turn number 4. DJ Stagner, who got spun by Ryan Potter when the first group was hitting pit road. You see he's even got some damage on the, well, not only on the right rear, but almost the entire rear bumper. Tail end of the lead lap right now for him. And Matt Muir, I mentioned that he was not too far away from going to lap down. He is going to lap down now. There's some front end damage on the 72. I wonder if he got into the back of somebody when coming down pit road. That doesn't look like the damage somebody would sustain from bump drafting on the racetrack. That looks like running into somebody potentially on pit road entry. Not certain who it would have been he ran into the back of, though. Might be able to scan our eyes through the field, see somebody with a little damage on the back. Sean Billman, I just saw there's got a little bit of a pushed in back bumper, I believe. Whoa, JP3. And you can see as soon as that car snapped, he bailed out of the throttle. You can see the flames coming out of the tailpipes there. Now Carl Faust. Is Faust going to finally get himself the lap lead? The pole sitter. Looks like he's finally going to get it. It just took him about, well, maybe not. Oh, no. Smith got him. Ty Smith got him by a splitter. On the bottom, you've got a Chevy pushing a Ford. On the top, you got a Ford pushing a Chevy. Interesting sense of irony right there. And a third lane forming up there. That's Mike Tellier and Tom Bourne trying to make something happen by themselves. Heading into turn number 3. And here we go. Caution's going to fly. A lot of drivers involved in this one. Most of them were trapped up there against that third lane, against the outside wall. Mike Tellier, Ty Smith. Bronson Stafford, I think, got a piece. Roberto Ramirez was involved. This was the break that drivers right there you see in that second pack we're looking for. And Matt Muir, this will get him back on the lead lap as the recipient of the lucky dog. Good damage there to the front end of the 42. First caution of the evening coming out on lap 39. I believe Bronson got a piece of it. Blake Trewick did. Tom Bourne in the 16 up ahead. Front end missing off of his Toyota. I don't believe anybody on their pit stop took on a faster pair, and that is indeed the case. I think a couple of drivers might have to take on their faster pair now. This is going to bunch the field all back up, and we might see a couple more cautions before all is said and done. Let's see what happens here. So maybe a bump in the corner. Sean Billman into Ty Smith. Goes down the racetrack into Seth Knoll, then back up the racetrack into the path of Tom Bourne and Roberto Ramirez. See if gap whack maybe came into play in this one, or if indeed there was an errant bump, maybe a little late going into the corner. There was no bump. The 06 never made contact with the 18. Ty Smith just got loose. Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with it. I don't know how the air affects these race cars to a degree that others would, but I want you to watch something here. Watch the movement of the one car on the inside line. There's a point here where he's going to move up the track just a little bit. Watch this. Right there. Was that enough? That up-down movement, was that enough to upset the air on the back of the 18 of Ty Smith, get him loose, and bring him down the racetrack? I don't know. I don't know if that would have affected it at all, but it is the only movement that I saw that could maybe have caused it, aside from Ty Smith just getting loose on his own. But a tough break there. And that new livery on the Wendy's Biggie Bag Chevrolet. And he has had to take on a faster pair, has Ty Smith, as a result of that incident. Same can be said for Seth Knoll, Roberto Ramirez, and Blake Trawick. Well, Carl Faust started this race from the pole. It took him almost 40 laps to get back up to the front and actually lead some laps. This looks like he will be the leader when we go back green. There you see the choose cone taking place. You see that dark seam there in the center of the racetrack. That's the choose cone. Drivers have to be on either the left or right to choose inside or outside line. Carl Faust is going to choose the top. Billman on the bottom, Poteet on the bottom, Rodriguez on the bottom. Stafford will jump up a couple of spots as he chooses the top. Shane Tyrion also on the outside line. JP3 on the bottom. Robert Kenny on the top. Blake Trawick on the inside. And it looks like Jason Shuey and Seth Knoll will be the completion of the top 10 when we go back green. Matt Muir got the free pass. So we will have 19 drivers on the lead lap of 21. Tom Bourne fell a lap down. The reason being, we saw he had that front end damage. He elected to manually repair it. Spent about 2.5 minutes on pit road. Fell a lap down as a result, but still has his faster pair intact. Was that the right call? Will there be a couple more cautions for him to get back on the lead lap via the lucky dog? We'll have to wait and see. It's the Taylor Swift Target Ford Mustang on the outside, race leader Carl Faust. And on the inside, the Cyberpunk Ford Mustang of Sean Billman, who started this race from the 19th position, has been quietly, steadily working his way up to the front of the field. We started the evening with Mustangs on the front row, and our first restart of the night will have blue ovals pointing the way. Green flag is going to come out with 15 laps to go. The aggressiveness is going to ramp up as we get closer to 10 to go, 5 to go, eventually to that white flag lap. Let's see what happens here as Carl Faust up through the gears. He's ready to lead the field back into turn number 1 at speed. We left the lane open. Stafford sticks his nose to the right rear. He will look to swing around for the top position. Bronson, I believe, has led the most laps up to this point tonight, and he wants to add more to his total. Shane Tyrion right there with him. Robert Kenny. Those Toyotas all lined up in the second groove, as there's a third groove with Seth Knoll. One is the loneliest number. He is by himself. And now we have to tuck back in line behind Robert Kenny. Michael Norman, Tom Bourne would be battling for the free pass position, and you can see that's going on top of your screen. Those two are nose to tail, hoping for another caution to come out. Hoping not to be the caution, however. A couple of former winners going to duke it out here at the front. Stafford, the previous winner this season here at Daytona. Shane Tyrion, the defending winner from last week at Atlanta. Both trying to join Dylan Poteet as a multi-time winner on the season. Stafford's got Carl Faust as his wingman. Topside, it's Robert Kenny offering the draft to Shane Tyrion. At outside line looks like it is the one to prevail. Shane Terrian going to lead that lap, almost clear going into turn 1. Not quite clear though, as the inside line resurges. Shorter way around the racetrack through 1 and 2. It's kind of the accordion effect. Inside line gets the run through the corner, outside line gets the run on the straightaway. And Shane, by half a car length, back out in front. Now here comes the inside line back again into turn 3. I mentioned earlier when Bronson won here the last time out at Daytona, he led only the final lap. He's led a lot more here tonight, but hoping for the same result. Much like at the beginning of the race, looks like everybody that's on the lead at lap is up in this lead pack, and also the 2 lap cars are. So throw a blanket over the entire field once again as we're drawing closer to 10 laps to go. Some drivers are getting anxious back there. John Poole to third, Mike Tellier jump up to the third lane. If they start making forward progress, other drivers will probably notice that, and they'll move up to the third line as well. Shane Terrian clears across the nose of Bronson Stafford. He's firmly in control of the lead now. Robert Kenny side by side with Stafford for second. JP3 making something happen up there. Now 3 wide for 6th, with Sean Billman and Roberto Ramirez. Lost a little bit of ground there through 1 and 2. They'll try and get that momentum back down the back straightaway. Mike Tellier's up there with the 32, and things getting kind of tight and not a lot of room being given up here at the front. Very close door-to-door racing between the 38 and the 10, and then likewise the 61 and the 1 down the back straightaway. Thought there might be some contact that would have been made, but not necessarily the case. Somebody just disappeared from the 3rd car on that outside line. There he is. That was Roberto Ramirez. It was a very sketchy area of the field to be for a car to disappear. I thought that for a moment it might actually affect the momentum of the middle line, but it does not appear that that is the case. Robert Kenny still holding court. Nice side draft there out of turn 2, right on the right rear quarter panel of Shane Terrian. Big push from Seth Knoll down the back straightaway. Kenny right now for the moment is out in front going into turn 3. Surprised more drivers aren't going up to that 3rd line. Now we got more. Matt Muir and lap car Michael Norman have jumped up there with the 32 and the 47. But like we saw earlier, you got to be really careful off of 2 and off of 4. The outside safer barrier narrows up, and you don't have nearly as wide an arc for exit as you think you might. We saw Ryan Potter and Chad Winston make contact as TJ Stagner just made contact. I believe that was with Dylan Poteet. The caution is out for the 2nd time here tonight at Daytona, and the 64 is up and over. He hit one of those access roads down in the grass at the bottom of 1 and 2. It shot him up into the air. He did a barrel roll, a forward torpedo barrel roll, lanes it back on all fours, continues on. But that's a lot of unnecessary damage he sustained right there. It was looking like it was going to be, for the most part, a harmless spin, and it turned into a roller coaster ride for the former winner back at Talladega. We don't know exactly all of who got bits and pieces of this. Michael Norman should be the recipient of the free pass, and this is going to set us up with a restart of less than 10 to go. Let's go back and take a look at what happened. DJ Stagner was running, I believe it was 4th car in line on the outside. Might have gotten a bump from Mike Tellier. Go to another camera angle, it might show us him just getting loose. That's kind of been the case here tonight. And right here, right there, hits that little access area, that little access road to the infield. And a wild barrel roll ride for DJ Stagner. Matt Muir appeared to have been another driver heavily affected by this incident. Let's take a look at what happened with him. I think he's going to get a tap from behind by Michael Norman. Everybody else, I think, for the most part, got through that, which is amazing since that was a wreck going into the corner, one of the toughest areas to avoid cars when they are going up or sliding down the banking. And a driver that had it right in his lap was the 51 of Matthew Rodriguez. Let's go on board with him. Watch the hand motion. See right there, that car was on apron to racetrack transition. Started coming out from underneath him. You saw the hands correct back to the right. He saves it. He avoids the wreck. Nicely done there by Matthew Rodriguez, who did our camera survive on the 64 of DJ Stagner. This is an Xfinity car, folks. This is not a Super Stadium truck, but with this onboard, it very well feels like it could be. Right here. Wow. You know, one of the funniest parts when we go on board with drivers that are going for barrel rolls? If you watch the hands, they never stop driving it. The wheels may be off the ground, but they are still trying to drive that race car. Couple more drivers, add them to the fast repair list. Mike Tellier, DJ Stagner, Matt Muir. All came down pit road under this caution, took on their fast repair. Michael Norman getting the lucky dog, I do believe. Or is he? We're still showing the 16 and the 22 a lap down. We'll wait for official scoring once we go back green to see if anybody ends up getting back in the lead lap. Although maybe Michael Norman, this is just a possibility. Michael Norman, who would have been eligible for the free pass since he got into the back of the 72, that might have been considered being part of the incident, and so therefore you would not be eligible for the lucky dog. Therefore, there is no lucky dog under this caution. This restart's going to be with 5 to go. 5 in regulation laps to go. There is every possibility that we may have to extend this into overtime. We will wait and see. Off the choose cone, Shane Tyrion going to be the one to lead us back to green. He's looking for back-to-back wins on the season. Robert Kenny will be to his outside in second. Bronson Stafford third. Seth Knoll fourth. Dylan Poteet fifth. Sixth place will be Carl Faust. Seventh, Matthew Rodriguez. Roberto Ramirez eighth. John Poole the third. Ninth. And Sean Billman will complete the top 10. All 21 drivers still running, 19 on the lead lap. Got about 8 drivers that have used their fast repair, which means that about a dozen drivers still have their fast repair available should they need it, but hopefully they will not need it. We have only had 2 cautions so far here in the first 52 laps. What do the final 5 laps have in store for us? You will have noticed that I have not made any predictions or any analysis of who is in striking distance of the championship, who is not. We'll give you all that information post-race when the standings are updated. The point system is just too unorthodox for me to be able to figure out with live points, so we will wait for official word and official scoring as to who is going to be in the championship battle next week at iRacing Superspeedway at the conclusion of this evening's festivities. Well, early on in the season, Dylan Poteet picked up back-to-back wins at iRacing Superspeedway and Atlanta. Shane Tyrion now looking to do the same, looking for back-to-back victories at Atlanta and here tonight at Daytona. Green flag flies once again. Tyrion up through the gears. Kenny to his outside. Inside line going to get a lot more momentum because Bronson Stafford is giving a push to the 38, and Seth Knoll swapped from the top to the bottom just after they cross the line. Seth Knoll looking for back-to-back podium finishes here in the last 2 weeks. Finished third at Atlanta last week to Shane Tyrion. Runs P3 right now. Dylan Pote in the 4th position. Matthew Rodriguez there in 5th. Matt Rod's looking for his first top 5 on the season. Only one top 10 coming into tonight for driver 51. Maybe he can pick up a victory. It's been a long winless spell for that driver. Seth Knoll's going to go to the race lead. Big push from Dylan Poteet and Matthew Rodriguez through the tri-oval. He's not yet clear. Might be clear by the time they get to turn number 1, and he is. Jumps to the bottom. Oh, and now gets almost turned off the nose of Shane Tyrion, and he will. Big wreck. The big one has struck here at Daytona. Just about everybody is involved. It'd be easier to name off the drivers that were not involved, and now everybody, for the most part, will probably have to take on a faster pair. I don't know if we're going to get back green in regulation. I would very much doubt it. I think we're still going to have to go into overtime here. Hoodless is Robert Kenny. I mean, we could look at just about every car in the field. They've got some type of damage. Seth Knoll's on pit road. Couldn't drive that thing back. Front end damage on Dylan Pote. Front end damage, the right front especially, Sean Billman. Who didn't get involved? The leader, I don't believe, was in it. Shane Tyrion, well, maybe he was. There's some damage on the front, which I think was from him getting into the back of Seth Knoll. That's second place right there, John Poole the third, and look at how torn up, how beaten up that car is. Front, left side, left rear quarter. Blake Trawick right behind him's got damage on the right side, right front. Matthew Rodriguez is missing a hood. Well, it looked like, at least live, that maybe the one was just not quite clear. Either that or he was clear, but watch when they go into turn 1. Shane Tyrion's going to get a big shove from Bronson Stafford. And the move from top to bottom by Seth Knoll would have scrubbed off a little bit of speed, and that might have brought the 38 right into the back bumper of the 1. Here's a look at it. He's clear. But then the bump from behind by Shane Tyrion, and oh man, Seth Knoll goes up and over. I think you believe he went up on the hood of Roberto Ramirez and then up onto the rear decklet of John Poole III. Let's take a look at some other drivers, their angles of how badly they got involved. Let's focus on the 31 of Dylan Poteet, second in points. I believe the points leader Ryan Potter was in this. Bronson Stafford just got clipped. He almost got through. Mike Tellier, I think, got through. Cody Lamas, Jason Shuey. Michael Norman comes to a stop. Unsure if Tom Bourne was involved, so we'll follow up on our lucky dog situation. Looks like the 16 is getting credited for the lucky dog. Stafford might have gotten away relatively unscathed. Watch this. He gets clipped in the left rear, or the right rear rather, by Carl Faust, but he does not hit anything. Almost got wiped out by DJ Stagner, but I don't think he, for the most part, hit anything there. So I think he didn't even have to take on his faster pair. Which, by the way, if you saw right there on that replay, we are going into overtime. Go on board with the 42 of Roberto Ramirez. He had one of Seth Knoll right up into his windshield. right there. You can't see what's going on up ahead. There's the one. Wow, it's just nowhere to go. That was again another incident going into the corner. I was surprised how back during the second caution we had so few drivers collected, with it being an incident going into turn one. This time though, a lot more drivers involved, maybe the biggest wreck we've had all season long. So the big one has struck. It has set us up for an overtime green-white checkered finish, one of potentially multiple green-white checkered finishes. Shane Tyrion, still the race leader. Bronson Stafford in second. DJ Stagner is now up to third. Remember, DJ fell a long ways back after he got spun on pit road during the cycle of green flag pit stops. So good comeback for him. Ty Smith now up to fourth. Matt Muir is fifth, and then Chad Winstead on the outside of row number 3. Tom Bourne did indeed get the lucky dog. 19 drivers will be on the lead lap. Michael Norman sits on pit road 3 laps down, getting repairs done. Same for Seth Knoll in the 1. So neither one of them will obviously be in the conversation for the victory here tonight. But based off what we just saw right there, going into turn 1, if you're in it, you can still win it. So even if you're back there 15th through 19th, there's still a chance you could be walking away with a top 10, a top 5, who knows? Way circumstances could be, maybe even the checkered flag. Regular green-white checkered rules apply. We go green, they race around for a lap, take the white, race around and take the checkers. If before the white flag waves we have another caution, we'll re-rack them and do it again. If the white flag is taken, we race back to the checkered flag no matter what. Bear in mind, double yellow line rule not in effect. Who utilizes that here in this green-white checkered? Shane Tyrion, green flag in the air. Back up through the gears. Got a decent jump, maybe too good of a jump. 2 car lengths back to DJ Stagner. Bronson Stafford trying to make something happen by himself on the top side. He's been here before. Bronson Stafford, last time we were here at Daytona, it was a green-white checkered overtime finish that helped him win, but there's not going to be one here. We're going to be re-racking and doing it again because Matt Muir just got hooked up into the outside wall, and the caution is going to wave for the 4th time tonight. So second attempt at a green-white checkered. And that is, I believe, night over for Matt Muir, who had already used his faster pair. Ty Smith in the 18 also in the forefront of that incident. Had to call a tow back to pit lane. And the 6 of Chad Winstead might have also been in the vicinity. Winstead, Kenny, Mike Tellier. Some of those that I saw as we were dropping back here for the replay, which we will show you now. How does this one start? Mike Tellier comes up and gets Matt Muir in the left rear, and Matt Muir, for a brief moment, got caught in the outside safer barrier. That car came to a dead stop before he then got a big hit from the 18 of Ty Smith. And we'll follow the 18 of Ty Smith further up because that's how other drivers got collected. Mike Tellier trying to fit into that space right there, just wasn't clear. Is that Matthew Rodriguez that also took a big hit there into the 72? Looked like a white and blue car. That might have been the white and blue on the 18 of Ty Smith, but I think it might have been Rodriguez. Here's focused on the 18 of Ty Smith. You see how Winstead got involved. Jason Shuey got a piece. John Poole III and Roberto Ramirez further up as well. Tom Bourne through the grass, picks up some spots there after he got the lucky dog under the last yellow. Here's with the 42 and the 32. Roberto's going to go down to the apron, and when he comes back up, he's going to, well, he gets actually spun right there. I think that was Sean Billman that got him. Either that or he overcorrected on the apron and came up into John Poole III, sandwiching him at the outside wall. But I want to go on board with Matthew Rodriguez because it might have been one of those iRacing things where they go through a wrecking car and don't sustain damage. Let's see. Had to have gotten some damage on that right front, I would think. But he kind of phased through the other contact. And as a result, he is scored restarting in 7th. So green-white checkered attempt number 2. Last time we were at Daytona, we ran 60 laps. That was one overtime green-white checkered counted into the regulation laps. So this will be the longest of the 2 Daytona races this season. Most laps we've run this year obviously have both been at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, since that racetrack is 1.5 miles in length. 77 laps in the first Atlanta race, 78 laps last week. Don't think we're going to eclipse that here at Daytona. But we may not be done with cautions either. We had only 1 caution in the first 40 laps of this race. As we've drawn closer to the end, though, the aggression level has kicked up, and we have, as a result, seen more and more appearances of the yellow flag. A lot more drivers have had to take on their faster pairs as well. Gets to that point of the race where it's easier to name off the drivers that still have a faster pair available. We'll do that now. Shane Thierry, Bronson Stafford, Cody Lamas, and Michael Norman are the only drivers that still have a faster pair. Norman, of course, though, is on pit road getting manual repairs done, multiple laps down. Ty Smith lost 3 laps. Matt Muir lost 3 laps, both having to call tows. So we have 17 drivers on the lead lap still in the running for this. Back to the 47 of Mike Tellier. Front row this time will be Shane Tyrion and DJ Stagner. Row 2, Bronson Stafford, Dylan Poteet, Cody Lamas, and pole sitter Carl Faust. Row 3, Matthew Rodriguez, points leader Ryan Potter. They're in row 4. And then John Poole III, Blake Trawick completing the top 10. Well, can we get around to the white flag this time? We'll have to wait and see. Your top 4 all looking for their, well, for 3 of them, their 2nd win on the season. For 1 of them, their 3rd win on the season. Cody Lamas is the highest running non-winner, as he will restart in 5th place. Well, here we go. Attempt number 2 at overtime. iRacing pace car peels off onto pit road. You can see the lights have come on here at Daytona. When the lights go on, the stars come out. Green flag back in the air. With his victory last week, Shane Tyrion jumped up 9 spots in the point standings. If he were to win again here tonight, he would be up front and center in the championship battle heading into next week's season finale at iRacing Superspeedway. Here comes a challenge on the top. DJ Stagner and Dylan Poteet battling against Tyrion and Stafford on the bottom. And apologies, we were not live, or we were not showing the footage. My apologies on that. Looks like they may get back here to the white flag. Oh, Stagner loose! Big wiggle, big save. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go here at Daytona. Rodriguez up top side, 3 wide. Can he find help? Nobody going up there with the 51. They stay to the 2 lines, middle and bottom. Side by side for the lead, DJ Stagner in the 64, Shane Tyrion in the 38. Again, Stagner, all sorts of sideways with shoves from Dylan Poteet, but he's making it work. Here comes the 3rd line. That's Carl Faust and Sean Billman. And they're making it work. Stagner jumped to the bottom here on Tyrion. Poteet forcing his way up the middle with Ryan Potter. There's contact made. Everyone's going around. Stagner, Faust. Faust gets the advantage. Carl Faust goes coast to coast at Daytona. First win of his Baadteshop Superspeedway Series career. And I believe is the first driver to go coast to coast this season. Pole to win? Yes, he is. Ryan Potter, the points leader, is going to get 2nd. And DJ Stagner in 3rd. Rodriguez will bring it home with his best finish of the season in 4th. Carl Faust, I believe, is going to be the first Ford to go to victory lane this season. So score 1 for the Blue Ovals. And the celebration begins for Carl Faust here at Daytona. Landscapers won't be all that thrilled with the burnouts in the grass, but hey, if you pick up a checkered flag at the World Center of Racing, you're able to do whatever you want for celebration. There you saw Sean Billman, Roberto Ramirez, a couple of teammates pulling alongside, offering their congratulations. Billman was a big part of Carl Faust getting to that race lead and that race win. Gave him a big push down the back straightaway and into 3 and 4. Last time a driver went coast to coast in the Baadteshop Superspeedway Series last season, back in March 20th of 2022, Bronson Stafford did it here at Daytona, but it was the Legacy 2008 version of Daytona. Only 3 drivers in the history of the series have gone, or I'm sorry, correction, 4 drivers in the history of the series have gone coast to coast. The aforementioned Bronson Stafford, also Jason Gracias, David Duran back in season 1, and here tonight, Carl Faust. Well, Ryan Potter bringing it home in the 2nd position. And his competitors did not get the finishes they were looking for as they were collected up in this final wreck. Dylan Poteet, Bronson Stafford, Shane Tyrion amongst them. Can't say it's going to be a walk in the park, but it is going to be, I think, somewhat an easier task for Ryan Potter next week to maintain the points lead and hold off all comers. Here's a look at what happened on the final lap. 3 wide through 3 and 4. Almost 4 wide. Poteet into Tyrion, into Stafford. All 3 of them hard hits into the inside wall. They crossed the line in 11th, 13th, and 15th, respectively. And those were the 3 closest competitors to Ryan Potter. Watch this push again. Sean Billman to Carl Faust out of turn 2 and down the back straightaway. Stagner gets loose. He had some great saves. Brings it home in 3rd. We're going to have to talk to him about hanging on to it not once, but twice, maybe 3 times there. There you see the two Fords up on that top side, right up against the wall. Everything's going to happen underneath them. Billman does make some contact, gets up into the outside wall, and it's all up to Carl Faust from that point on. Carl Faust clears the 64, holds off the late charge by the 99, and picks up the victory. Becomes yet another first-time winner in the series. We saw him start out his career driving the number 12. He then made the move over to the number 81, filling the seat for Connor Holden. And pays dividends here tonight with a checkered flag. We're going to show you your finishing results here in just a moment. Carl Faust with the win, Ryan Potter second. DJ Stagner brings it home in third. Matthew Rodriguez, best finish of the season in fourth, and Chad Winstead with a comeback run in fifth. Roberto Ramirez brings it home in sixth place. Sean Billman seventh. Tom Bourne in eighth place. We'll see him, I think, up inside the top 5 in points heading into next week. Is he within striking distance for the championship? We'll have to wait for scoring on that. Jason Shuey, who ran at the back most of the day, brings it home ninth, and Robert Kenny is going to complete the top 10. There's Bronson Stafford back in 11th place after leading, I believe, the most laps here tonight. Does not double down at Daytona. Cody Lamas in 12th. Shane Tyrion, who was caught up in that last incident off a turn 4, 13th. John Poole, the third, 14th. Dylan Poteet also caught up in that last lap incident in 15th. Mike Tellier finishes last car in the lead lap in 16th. Blake Trawick -1 in 17th. Ty Smith, Matt Muir, 5 laps down apiece in 18th and 19th. Seth Knoll, after his podium finish last week, 20th here tonight. And Michael Norman will finish in the 21st position. The 18, 72, 22, and 1 theoretically all finished out of the race. They were sitting on pit road at the conclusion of this one. Now let's see if we can talk with our podium finishers here. See what they thought about the action here this evening at Daytona. And let's kick things off with one of our former winners from the season and third place finisher here tonight, DJ Stagner. Hey DJ, Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
Sure do.
Well, we're going to be talking a little bit about the stuff that happened on the final green-white checkered of the evening, but the biggest question I've got in my mind is how in the world did you keep that thing pointed straight? Because we saw you fishtailing out of shape not once but twice. Looked like that thing was going to go around, but you somehow kept it planted, facing the right direction, and didn't lose much momentum.
Well, I trust Poteet behind me, so I trusted that he wasn't going to spin me, and any little things like that was recoverable. So luckily, was able to keep it going. But yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with the pusher, and that would be Poteet. He did fantastic.
Well, you found victory lane earlier on this season in one of the Dega duels, close to picking up that second victory here tonight. You've had a chance to kind of go back, look it over in your mind, look back at replays. Anything you could have done different to be able to keep those Fords in the rearview mirror and get that second checkered flag?
I mean, we had some damage, so it wasn't helping. The only thing really that could have been any different, maybe in the middle of 3 and 4 while I was still clear, jump to the extreme top, but that probably just would have caused a wreck. So really, it's not, there's nothing screaming like, wow, what a mistake, should have done this. But yeah, we'll just take it and move on.
And for people that may not remember, you kind of had to mount a bit of a comeback from the second half. For the second half of this race, it caught up in a spin on pit road during that cycle of green flag pit stops. So how difficult is it to kind of keep yourself mentally in the game and think, there's still a chance that a caution will come out, I'm still in this? How do you kind of put that in the back of your mind and look forward towards possible scenarios that could put you, as it did here tonight, back into the podium conversation?
The hardest part, honestly, is you're going to have a caution, right? So the hardest part is just sitting there running laps by yourself, lap after lap after lap, and just hoping to get a caution. And then, when it finally happens, it's like a game changer. So, I mean, at that point, it was just all worried about trying to figure out a way to get track position back, and went for a little flip in one of the other wrecks. So that was also interesting. But, you know,
Yeah, we ended up taking the onboard with that flip. I mean, did that take you by surprise? Did you know that there was like that kind of banking there with that access road down in 1 and 2?
honestly, I thought that we had come out of that wreck pretty okay given the circumstances. And I was just worried about saving it and keeping it straight right there in the grass. And next thing I know, I'm up in the air and flipping and landing, and I'm not really sure what happened, but it actually didn't hurt the car that bad. But I had to take a fast repair after that because it hurt it enough. But shockingly, it was pretty smooth. Like I was surprised, but I was also it was pretty funny. So that was a positive.
Well, you had an adventure tonight, no doubt about it. And at the end of the journey, you bring it home in the third position. So well done to you here this evening. It's going to be interesting to see how the points shake out if this puts you into that conversation for the championship next week. You've had a couple of good runs here, all back to back to back. So best of luck to you on that. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout outs.
Thank you to Poteet for the good push there at the end. I mean, I had a damaged car, and with him right there on me, we were able to keep at the front. Shout out to Carl Holden and Connor Faust, two team members, Ryan Potter, Ty Smith, Clint Billman, Sean Spillman, and Reg and Taro, and everybody at the Meow Swamp Motorsports.
DJ Stagner, your third place finisher here tonight at Daytona. Best of luck next week at iRacing Superspeedway as you look to cap off what's been a pretty good season for you here in the Baadteshop Superspeedway Series.
All right, thank you.
And let's see if we can dial up Ryan Potter, who brings it home in second. Hey, Ryan, Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
I'll tell you what, we're going to be talking about all that went down in that final lap, but there is definitely an art to superspeedway racing, and there's also a little bit of luck intermingled in. Look back at your last four finishes, fourth, third, fourth, and a second place here tonight. There's no surprise that you're leading the points and got a pretty good gap heading into that double points race at iRacing Superspeedway. With the consistency that this 99 car has been on, what is the confidence level right now that you can wrap this thing up for the championship next week?
So like obviously the point situations. I don't know. I haven't looked at the points, but I'm sure it's decent, especially after all the finishes tonight. But in theory, it's still there's still definitely some what's what I'm looking for. Still some concern just because of the just iRacing Super Speedway in general is just chaotic. And really, Super Speedway racing is chaotic. iRacing Super Speedway is just as chaotic, if not more chaotic. I don't love the track, and it's just going to be. I'm gonna be worried about it all for until we have that race. It's gonna be in the back of my head for sure.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to it. A really exciting track to be able to hold a finale with the championship on the line. So let's talk about the race here tonight. We saw you make your way up to the front around the midway portion of the race, then kind of faded back again, maybe kind of playing possum, but then making that late charge up to the front here in the closing stages. Was there anything you could have done to be able to hold off those two Fords? Because it looked like you had momentum, maybe just needed a drafting partner there through 3 and 4?
Probably not in reality, because in the grand scheme of things, I mean, the only reason I finished second was because all the chaos happened off of four. So, just happy with a great finish, and I think we led our first lap of the season tonight, so that's a big thumbs up there too. We did have some struggles with the pit stop. I know, I think I got in a little hot, and then I had to avoid a car, which made me get really shallow on the entry, and it was never going to work out. So it was 100% my fault, and I apologize to DJ for that. I'm just glad that everything worked out in the end.
So you talk about the nerves heading into next week's season finale. Do you start formulating some kind of a strategy between now and the green flag, or do you wait until the green flag drops to start trying to plan out a strategy, kind of see the lay of the land, as it were?
Honestly, I don't. I mean, I don't think the strategy changes from the rest of the season. I've run most of my races pretty much the same way, and I think I just do the same thing. Just Really, I think early I'll just try to ride it out and see how the race goes. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of iRacing Superspeedway. It's a little too chaotic for my blood sometimes. But yeah, like I said, I think just ride it out, see how the race unfolds, and try to keep a clean car for the end.
Well, Ryan Potter has been the most consistent driver on the season. His worst finish is 8th, and he's only had that twice. His other finishes have all been up inside of the top 5. He's got a 91-point lead going into the finale next week at iRacing Superspeedway. Great job here tonight, Ryan. Best of luck next week. Before we let you go, though, we'll give you the opportunity to thank some sponsors and do some shout-outs.
Yeah, first of all, I would just like to thank everybody at the Cat's Meow for coming on board for the race tonight. Thank DJ, thank Reg, thank Taro, everybody that works there. Great, thankful thing for that. Thank all of my teammates, all the boys at Swamp Motorsports. Connor, excuse me, wasn't here tonight because of some computer issues. Carl filled in for him and did an amazing job. Congratulations to Carl and Connor, because I guess that goes for his points. Just big shout outs to everybody. It was a hell of a team night tonight. We had a 1, 2, 3 for the team, and yeah, just huge.
Ryan Potter, he'll look to cap things off for the championship next week. Goes in the points leader at iRacing Superspeedway after a second place finish here tonight at Daytona. Congratulations once again, and best of luck next week.
Thank you.
And let's see if we can go down and dial up first-time winner Carl Faust in victory lane. Hey, Carl, Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
Yep, gotcha.
I'll tell you what, a wild finish to this race. Saw a little bit of everything here today. Long green flag run at the beginning, some green flag pit stops. We knew, though, when that second caution came out with 15 to go, things were going to start to ramp up. You started on the pole position, fell back, fought your way back up to the front. You capped this thing off with a victory. Describe everything that was going on in that final green-white checkered, because you and your teammate had to really time that final move on the back straightaway to perfection, and it worked out.
Yeah, no, I think we got a little lucky there. DJ and Poteet kind of got a little loose. That gave us the ability to go up to the top. So when we got that run, it felt like we were going quick. So and I think we still would have got them, wreck or not, because we were getting a good thing going. And Billman's been a great pusher the past couple weeks. He's helped DJ out in his race a couple weeks ago and been really good around me. So thankful for everyone at GRT. Sean Billman and Roberto Ramirez for helping this race. Huge shout out to Connor Holden for letting me sub in for him this week. It's great, filling in for him and continuing on his championship run, as well as all the other guys at GRT and Swamp, DJ Stagner, Ryan Potter, Ty Smith. So yeah, just grateful for them, and finally happy to be here. It's been I want to say a rough season, but we've been in position to win a good amount of times and just not had our luck go our way. So
You add your name to a list of drivers that have gotten their first career win here in the UpperEdge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series with this victory here tonight at Daytona. You talk about being here in a fill-in type capacity. As we mentioned, we saw you when you began here this season in the number 12. Does it make it easier, tougher to be a fill-in driver? Do you have a little bit more freedom in the moves you make? Or knowing that you're kind of earning points for somebody else, does that make you maybe hold back just a little bit with some of the moves?
I wouldn't say it makes me hold back. If anything, it's kind of neutral, because like on one hand, trying to win or get points for him is tough, but at the same time, like I'm not really running for anything myself, so I can just kind of push more for the win and stuff. So, like some of those moves I made at the end, I might not have made if I was in my own car, but probably would have come close to doing the same thing. So.
Well, in Superspeedway Series, momentum is a key factor, and with this victory here tonight, what do you think your chances are maybe going back-to-back to cap off the season when we get to iRacing Superspeedway next week?
I think they're pretty good. I mean, it's Superspeed racing, so anything could happen. We've seen that throughout the year, but I know iRacing Superspeedway isn't my best track. I wasn't at the race here early in the year, so I don't know what to expect around with this crew, but it should be a good one. I know, like I said, it's really anyone's race, so I think we got a good chance, and hopefully with Connor back for that and he's in the car, but if not, I'll be here in the 81 trying to win it for him.
A perfectly timed move on the final lap puts you in victory lane here tonight for the first time in your career. Congratulations on the job well done. Before we let you get back to your celebrating, Carl, the floor is yours for victory lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Yeah, as I said earlier, thank you to everyone on GRT, Sean Billman, Roberto Ramirez. Great work with you guys tonight. Everyone on Swamp, Brian Potter, DJ Stagner, Ty Smith, Connor Holden for letting me drive for him this week, and to quote the great Taylor Swift, it's been a long time coming. So happy to be here and happy to win.
Carl Faust, your winner here tonight at Daytona. Congratulations on a job well done. Great run there at the end of this one. Go enjoy it, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
And that is going to bring our coverage to a close. Point standings are indeed in. Again, we have to remember the fact that it is double points next week. I mentioned the fact that about the most a driver can earn during the course of a race is 75 points. We double that, that's 150 points. So anybody within that range could still have a chance at the championship next week. Who are those drivers? Looks like it may be a 4-horse race. Ryan Potter, obviously, based off his second place finish tonight, still the points leader, 91 points in hand over Connor Holden. Remember, the 81 points that Carl Faust got here tonight go towards Connor Holden, so Connor is still in that championship picture. Two-time winner Dylan Poteet, 115 points back in third, and two-time champion Bronson Stafford, fourth in points, 123 points back. You've got Tom Bourne, DJ Stagner, Chad Winstead, Shane Tyrion, they're all in close proximity to each other, but they are 170 to 172 points out. I don't think they mathematically can win the championship. Now, I may be incorrect. There may have been some changes to the point system. I will confer with the admins of the series and see if that is indeed the case, if it is 4 drivers between now and next week. And if there is a mistake in my mathematics, then we will obviously announce that at the beginning of next week's broadcast. But right now, it does look like it is going to be Potter versus Holden versus Poteet versus Stafford for the championship here in Season 4 of the UpperEdge Racing Baadteshop Superspeedway Series. But what a wild finish here tonight. What a way to set the stage for the championship battle next week at iRacing SS. Hope you guys will join us for that. That'll be next Thursday night, June the 7th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You will not want to miss it. Congratulations once again to Carl Faust on the victory here tonight at Daytona. Hope you guys enjoyed our coverage here this evening. I've been Seth Cole. We'll see you guys next week. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.